Okay, once again, it's time for the Fantastic Brass Monkey podcast. Well, I have to say it's fantastic because I'm the host, Adam Simon, and today we have a very special guest, Taasha Coates from the Audreys. That's right, the Audreys are back. They have a brand new album, Ruin and Repair, set to drop in just a few days, March 14th. I can't believe I'm saying March 14th, just a few days away.
I
And an
know.
upcoming tour. An upcoming tour is going to see them hit the road and hit the Brass Monkey on Saturday, May 17th. So we've got plenty to talk about. Let's start. Tasha, welcome to the show. How have you been?
I've been really well, Adam. How have you been?
Good. Fantastic to see you.
Good.
Always nice to catch up with one of
Yes.
the people I think is a true star and a true trailblazer in our music industry here. So I
Oh,
can't wait to have a chat about the new album. I've been
thank you.
celebrating as soon as I heard it was coming because I've been a
Yeah.
fan for almost the last 20 years now. We're going to talk about that in a moment.
Oh
But
my God.
it's been 10 years since the Audreys have released any new music.
Yeah.
What sparked the return and what made this the right time for a new album for you?
Well, I did put a solo record out in that time, and then Tristan and I were going to write and record a record in 2020. We had a 25-day tour booked in that time, and of course, COVID happened, and that tour never went ahead. And then he got unwell.
Yeah.
And we ended up losing him in 2022. So that set me back a lot, creatively and emotionally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really devastated to lose him. He's my best friend.
Yeah.
And, not just, like we traveled 6 months of the year together. Like it was, we were kind of two halves of the same person in some weird way, So that was a huge loss for me. And he actually helped me write my solo record. So I'd never written a song without him.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I could. And it took me a while to get the belief in myself that I could do that. But for Adam, before he passed, he was very clear to me that he wanted me to continue with the band and continue playing the songs. And I believed him. Like, I think that was really genuine.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it to celebrate the songs and to honor him. And of course, I love it. And now I've got a new band, and writing these new songs was great. And I wrote maybe third, maybe half the record with his brother Cam, who was in the Audreys for our first record, but then went off and had a very successful acting career. So didn't really tour much with us, and sort of would pop in and out, come and do guest tours with us and guest on a record or something, but was never a full member of the band again since that first record. But he came back and was very involved in this record with the writing, which was really great. And for both of us, it was a way to grieve and together.
In his passing, Tristan was very selfless, as he was in his life. I remember the few times I've met him, I had interactions with him, and always giving to others, always sharing his thoughts or his production or his work and so on. At the moment, no momentation. It sounds like he's had that, in his passing, he's left that to you, that legacy to you to continue this on. And so it is fantastic. Yes, we would love to have him back, but it's certainly fantastic to see the Audreys releasing new music. And I'm sure you would have sensed him there at the time,
all the time,
both on stage and in the recording
all the
studio.
time. It's just so nice. For me, I think it was the only way I could have grieved him.
Yeah.
Because that was our world. So I was actually on tour when I found out he'd passed. So I had to I had to keep getting on stage for the first few months, and that was some of the hardest nights I've ever had.
As a musician who's done this for a while, did you find then, as you do now, that music is healing for us in those times?
Very much so. Very healing. Yeah, for me.
Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day saying, as musicians, we really need to look out for each other in our physical health and our mental health. And, my friend Raoul Malo from the Mavericks is going through some health issues at the moment. He's saying we should have been asking this question years ago. It's not, are you okay day? It's fantastic, but every day needs to be, are you okay day? And so on, because we just don't know, do we, what can happen in each other's lives. And
no.
So let's talk about, I want to ask, was Tristan a Beatles or a Stones fan?
Oh, we both. Mate, we're both totally Stones. Yeah.
I was wondering if he was Beatles, and that's what, which obviously we're talking about the new single.
We never argued about that. That was a given.
We're obviously talking about the new single, Beatles versus Stones, which is such a good concept. I've never thought of that. I'm an Elvis person, and it's always Elvis versus the Beatles.
Okay.
And so on. But the Beatles and Stones, I see it now, and you're firmly in the Stones camp.
I very much am, yeah.
What is it about the Stones that
so much
speaks to you more?
It's just so much. It's just sexier.
Yes, that's true. Even at what 82 or whatever, he's still
You know I love you. You know, it's I mean
yeah.
it's really nice pop music, but that's not what turns me on.
No, I was talking to somebody that I saw a photo and it's Keith Richards in his 60s or 70s holding a young baby. And the caption beneath it says, the first known photo of Keith Richards and Willie Nelson is 92.
I mean the Keith Richards like memes are pretty good. They're pretty
Yeah.
quality. Yeah, yeah.
I remember seeing Robin Williams before Robin Williams did stand up. After 9/11, he came back and did stand up. And he
Yeah.
goes, you know, the government's using Keith Richards to test anthrax. So they bring him in. They said, go into the White House, Keith, you'll be right. See what happens.
Yeah, fantastic.
But a truly iconic band still. And the new single is fantastic. And it's marking a return for me for the Audreys to the real old country side of things, the
Mm.
harmonies and all like that. Was that where you felt you wanted to head with the new
Yeah, very
single?
much. Very much.
You also learned, I was reading the other day, you learned to play guitar during COVID as well,
I did. I
and
did.
so on.
COVID sort of took, I mean, I literally, I mean, I'm a mum, so I had
Yeah.
that to do, but work-wise, I had nothing to do and no money to do anything with anyway. So I decided to take up guitar, and it was something I had, because I'm a piano player, but it was something I had dabbled with on and off for years. But every time I would go like, it's just too painful. This is not for me. But I pushed on this time and I just forced myself I went to lessons. I got lessons from a
Well,
friend of mine. Like I went every week. I did my practice. I did
very
all of
good,
that.
very good.
And then, much to my shame, because I had no income. And so I started doing like covers gigs in front bars, just playing
Yeah.
guitar and singing covers, which I think I was probably really, really bad at. But it was so many venues were like, look, she can sing, but the songs are too depressing.
Yeah,
Please don't have her back. But it was great for my guitar playing. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So because they're 3-hour gigs, that's like
yeah,
you just get so much. I just
yeah.
built strength up in my fingers and hands really quickly from doing that, and I would do them like three times a week. So I was playing 9 hours a week of guitar plus
Guitar.
practice. So it was like a guitar workshop intensive that I did for like a year.
And now you're doing the full Stevie Ray thing behind the head and, the Hendrix style. I can't wait to see the
No,
brass
I still
monkey.
can't. I still can't solo or anything like that. I'm only chords. I honestly can't actually conceptualize the guitar very well because I'm a piano player. And to me, piano is very visual, very linear, very
Yeah,
logical, and I can't get that with the guitar. I'm like,
yeah.
it still doesn't really make sense to me.
Look, it's not just you. I toured for 6 years with I won't say who, but a major international multi-million selling artist around the world. And every night the crew, don't plug his guitar in, hasn't been plugged in for 20 years. Let him go. They had a little dummy amp that looked like it was plugged in with this
Oh my
giant
God, that's
stack.
so
And
funny.
every night for 6 years, it was like, no, don't ever plug that in at all. He can't play for love nor money. So
It's
a
hilarious.
major international artist was signed to Sony. Oh, did I say that? Sony Music. Did that change your perspective, your outlook then as a songwriter now playing guitar as
Well,
well?
yes, actually, yes. So Beatles versus Stones, I wrote on the guitar, whereas I used to write where Tristan would write the guitar,
Mhm.
the chords, and I would add the melody and the lyrics. Whereas that, I wrote the chords. I mean, I obviously as a piano player, there are some songs I've written on the piano as well, but generally that was the way we would approach songs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes along and you don't stand a chance. You just stand around like a fool for romance. Sometimes it comes along and it feels like the world is brand new. Sometimes it comes along and it don't mean a thing. A wave on the ocean, a bird on the wing. Sometimes it comes along and it takes everything that you knew and tears it into.
The album you worked with Tom Kneebone, Felicity Friedman, Beach Barker, and the producer was Ryan Martin John.
Correct.
You've got a team like that around you, and then you can look over and see the producer like that caliber. Does that make it easier? Are you busting to get back to the studio the next day and then busting to get this out and share it with the world to have that team around you?
Yeah, look, I think we spent about 4 months on the record, so we didn't
Right.
super rush it. We put down the bed tracks over a couple of days in a bigger studio, and then we layered up the songs in Ryan's home studio. But we took our time, which was nice, because in the past I've done, I've gone into the studio for 3 weeks and come out with a finished record, and that's pretty intense. And so I got a lot of time to sit with the songs, and there were a couple of songs that just never made the record that are still kind of sitting around half done. I don't know what's going to happen with them. They just didn't seem to fit.
Yeah.
But it was great. It's actually the first time I've ever made a record in Adelaide, which is weird.
Okay. I was about to say, where did you record this album? Adelaide.
So Ryan's studio is here in Adelaide. But the first 4 Audreys records we made with Shane O'Mara in his studio in Melbourne. And then my solo record I made with Shane Nicholson in the Central Coast. So, it's the first time I'd recorded in Adelaide.
And I know you say that's your first solo album. That's a seminal solo album, that solo album of yours. I remember we saw it in Americana Fest, and I was just like, I'm so proud to be an Australian there and have that album to share with all these people, because it was such a great album. And it was funny because you have these people like when Kiss broke up and did all these solo albums, I'd never thought of yourself as a solo artist. It was always
I
Taasha
didn't
and
either.
Tristan, but it was
Tristan really pushed me to do that. I didn't want to do it. I've never wanted to be a solo artist. I've always wanted to be in a band. It was always been my thing to be in a band. But Tristan was already starting to get unwell, and he said, look, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to tour with you. Why don't you make a record on your own? But he helped me write the songs.
We're talking Tristan again, this year or last year marks the 20th anniversary of the Audreys. Is it this year?
So we recorded our first album in 2005, and it came out February 2006.
Okay, so somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Looking back, do you have one particular memory, one particular show, something that just stands out and it's an absolute highlight, or the story you always want to tell about this particular night, or is there one particular memory that always comes flooding back?
God, you would have had to prep me for that question so I could...
We'll ask you on stage at the Brass Monkey.
There's just so many memories. Honestly, Adam, one of the things that I found really hard as well as just the grief of losing Tristan, was the feeling that I was now the keeper of so many of our memories. So much we did, the 2 of us, and I didn't have anyone to say, hey, remember that time with? It was just me. And I imagine that must be what it's like to lose a spouse or something. Where so much of your life has happened with another person witnessing it, and suddenly that person's gone. Yeah, that was...
I can say as a fan and an observer for that 20 years, you're doing a fantastic job to maintain that legacy, and it's certainly something which is going to be endeared for many, many years to come, hopefully. It's really good. We can't wait to see it on stage at the Brass Monkey. So you've got a lot, and one of the things I've always loved about your Magpie's back.
The Magpie's back, yeah.
The one thing I've always loved about the Audreys is you've always toured, and you've toured everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just in South Australia, not just in the home state, but you go out and tour everywhere. And you go on tour for months, don't you? You've got a massive tour coming up, don't you?
Yeah.
What can fans expect from these shows, especially, not just the Brass Monkey, but you've got some big shows out in Gimpy Master I saw, and some other big shows there. What can we expect to see on this tour? Or is that going to evolve as you grow?
I haven't finished writing the set list because it's really hard. So obviously we're touring the new records. We have to play a bunch of stuff for the new record, but then we have 5 other albums to choose stuff from.
Do you traditionally change that as tours go on, as to how you're feeling or how crowds respond? Is it something you've done traditionally, or you stick with a set list and that's it?
I like the idea of a tour being a show. And you're putting on a show, so you write the show, and the songs really flow well into each other. It's almost theatre.
Yeah.
So I tend to my band used to tease me about how I would laminate the sets. Not that I literally laminated, but I was figuratively, I was laminating them, because it was right, this is the step. This is a step for the tour. This is what we're doing. Yeah. But obviously, if something's not working, I would change it. But what I put a lot of thought into what songs we're playing and how they flow. Because a lot of us do instrument swaps and stuff as well, so that's all got to be factored in. And once it's locked down and you start getting into I know what song's coming up next, and it's great. It's good.
And I think that's what people want too. Someone said the other day, if you go and see the Stones and they don't play Satisfaction, you feel ripped off.
You feel unsatisfied.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you feel unsatisfied. Well done.
Yeah.
Fantastic play there. But yeah, I mean, it must be hard because I'm sure there are nights where you want to play a certain song or you don't want to play a certain song, but you've got to understand that you've got an audience there, and it's not just an audience, but it's a commercial entity as well, and you've got to be loyal to that and so on. So it must be a real balance as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, there aren't many. Oh, that's not true. I was going to say there aren't many songs I don't like playing, but that's not true. I do have old Audrey songs I don't like playing, but we haven't played them for so long that I don't even think about them anymore.
Pour my whiskey, pour my wine, yeah. I need to clear my mind, and I ain't got nowhere to be.
The stuff that people keep requesting, we always keep in the set. You know, and it's like Steve McQueen and stuff like that. Like, I love playing that. I still love playing that song, even though it's 20 years old. It's just, I still love singing it. And as a singer, I am not really set in the way I sing a song. Like, I'm always trying to bring a performance to every song. So it's always, how do I feel? How do I want to present the song tonight? I'm not just going to repeat exactly, what I did yesterday so I'm always trying to tell the story and inhabit the song and be in the story, which of course has been hard because some of the songs are about Tristan and I have not been able to make it through them live without losing my but I think with the main one that I'm thinking of, which is on the record and has a beautiful string quartet, a string arrangement that Felicity, my bass player, wrote, is just stunning. That's a hard song to get through for me live. But I think at the end of this tour, I'll be like, you want to connect with the emotion, but you don't want to be so deep in the emotion that you lose.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the authenticity for it as well, for sure.
Yeah, and your composure.
So that leads me to the next question. As we head up towards the end here, Ruin and Repair, it's out March 14th. And as I said, we've got a show coming up in May.
Yeah.
We've got the new single, which is Beatles Big Stones. Is there a particular track, is the track sequence to listen to like the old days we would, where it's tracks 1 through 10, because that's hard on Spotify, but say on vinyl we can still listen. Is the track sequence a certain way, or do you want people to go to a particular song?
I obsess about that stuff. It took me weeks to come up with the track order and also what started side 1 and ended side 1 and what started side 2 and ended side 2. I mean, I really care about that stuff. I know it gets on a streaming platform and it all gets muddled, but I'd love people to listen to it the way I intended it to be listened to.
But it's funny you say that, because that's why I asked the question, because I always thought the Audrey's albums and even your solo album always were side A and side B. Even before the heyday of vinyl came back now, God forbid, we have a friend of mine came back from Nashville last week and they said the cassettes are back in Nashville. I don't know why, but that's another story for another day.
True.
But yeah, I've always thought your albums, the Audrey's and then your solo album, and probably that's a bit of Shane's influence as well, or both of Shane's influence actually, I really always sensed you put a lot of time, a lot of thought into it. And I imagine whiteboards or bits of paper on the floor everywhere in a recording studio.
Little bits of paper that we write the song on and we cut out and then we lie them, like put them out on the coffee table and we shuffle them around. Yeah, very much. That's
exactly what I thought, because it's tough. And that's the difference, guys. And I'm talking to the audience watching this now. That's why you should be coming to not only to the live shows for the Audreys, you should also listen to this new album and support it, because there is so much thought, so much intention, so much authenticity that goes into everything they do. And that's why we've had a great opportunity to talk to you today, Taasha Coates. So, Taasha, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I can't wait. Ruin and Repair to drops March 14th, and we're counting down the days till we see you live on stage at the Brass Monkey on May 7th. The tickets are now on sale, guys.
5 days before my birthday.
Perfect. That's a subtle hint. So everyone, if you buy a ticket, you also have a chance to buy Taasha a drink for her birthday.
Yeah.
Okay. And as I said, this show on May 17th is now on sale. We'll put the links to that.
Great.
And to their website and their socials in our show notes. Coach, thank you so much for your time today.
Welcome,
congratulations on the new album.
Thank you very much.
See you in a few weeks.
Okay, bye.
Thanks. Bye.
It comes